Morning, guys. Raptor Freak, Alexiot's here. It's game day. We're playing Boston for the time this season. Preseason, third game of the preseason for us. Second game of the preseason for Boston. It's really weird that some teams are not playing as many preseason games, and Boston played their first preseason game on Monday. So they've had 4 days off between games. And we're going to talk about the game they played on Monday in just a sec. Good morning, Kwai Leopard. I might do some Q&A. So if you put a question up there, I'll answer it at the end of when I do my spiel for the preview here today. All right, guys. Boston's easy to get up for because we hate them so much. This is just the darling of the NBA. They've been around forever, since the beginning. And if the NBA is going to try and help any team in this league, it's going to be the Boston Celtics. And it's just that way. So one of the things I want to look at tonight is how the referees treat us in this game. Because sometimes when we go to Boston, it's not just us beating the Celtics. We have to beat the refs in a major way because all right, this is the thing. I want to bust a myth about Boston Celtics and the whole thing about the Boston Garden over the history of time and, the history of the 1960s and all the championships they won and Red Auerbach and Larry Bird and all this kind of stuff. They've had a lot of good players in Boston. And yes, they've won a lot of championships and they deserve the prestige. But the thing about Boston is they've always been the dirtiest organization in the NBA, the most cheating organization in the NBA since the very beginning. You don't understand. All right, Boston's dirty. What they used to do way back in the day is they would turn off the hot water to the visiting locker rooms. The team would. This was like a conscious effort by the team to give a disadvantage to the other team. And you don't think it was cold in December in Boston trying to take a shower if you're on the other team? That's dirty stuff. And this is back when the NBA wasn't like, how it is now with a bunch of like stars and, they're known. These guys were just work guys that came to play and they did stuff like that. So they call it the leprechaun of the Boston Garden or all this kind of stuff, but they do dirty stuff and their fans do dirty stuff. Boston fans are notorious for pulling fire alarms or calling bomb threats on hotels where other players are staying. This is something that has gone on for many years. There's all kinds of dirty things that Boston does to get an advantage. And one of the things is, too, that they usually do have refs on their side. See, I got to tell y'all something right now and get this out of the way about me in the NBA. I'm not a fan of the NBA. I lost my fandom of the NBA over the last decade, partly because of the superstar mentality and how they were building it, the way they've been building it in the last 20 years and getting away from the team concept like the Raptors play under. And it was becoming more of a superstar league and more of like an individual player kind of league. I hated that. I've hated that. I hate that marketing. I hate that kind of thing, that kind of message that it sends to society and the way that these guys act sometimes. So for me, getting back to that old team mentality in basketball is huge. Now, more recently, in the last couple of years, there's been a lot of political stuff that's been going on, like things like Colin Kaepernick in the NFL and Black Lives Matter last year and stuff like that. Now, I think the NFL is fascist. Like, I know that's a big word to bring into sports, but I think they're fascist. The way they try and control their players with things like they can't celebrate after touchdowns and they fine them for all kinds of different things. And then the way they treated Kaepernick, that was fascist. That's fascism. The way if you fine your players for like things that they don't even know that they did wrong and take money away from them, that's fascism. And the NBA is just as guilty as NFL in some ways. They fined the Raptors last year for all kinds of stupid stuff last year that I found was very fascist. So let me just really make this clear. I'm not a fan of the NBA. I think the organization is full of crap. It's fascist, but I root for the Raptors to win in that organization because I'm just disillusioned with the NBA. I think that since Stern left and Stern wasn't in charge anymore, it's gone downhill. Adam Silver I don't like him. I don't think he's doing good things for the game in some ways. So that's just my general opinion. That's an aside on how my relationship is with the NBA. I don't like the NBA in general, but I love the Raptors. I really love the Raptors, and I want them to succeed in there. All right, just real quick. Our injuries are the same. They're the same because this basically everybody didn't go on the trip. Chris Boucher's still here in Toronto. Pascal Siakam's still here in Toronto. Yuta Watanabe's still here in Toronto. And Kem Birch, I don't know where the hell Kem Birch is. We still don't know where Kem Birch is. So hopefully we'll see him soon. On the other side, huge news yesterday, guys. This is huge, and this is what I've been talking about. COVID is still an issue in this league. It's going to be a big issue this year because you know what happened yesterday? They didn't have any games this week, Boston, and they tested their players yesterday morning, and guess who got a positive test and can't play tonight? Jaylen Brown. That's right. One of their top 2 players cannot play tonight because he tested positive for COVID yesterday. So these things are going to happen. So these superstar teams that have only two or three guys they really depend on at the top, like Brooklyn, if this kind of stuff happens, which is happening with Kyrie, it's going to really hurt these teams that really rely on being top heavy at the top. Because, Boston without Jaylen Brown is a big deal because they've lost a lot of star power over the last couple of years. Kyrie screwed up that franchise. He came in there and he messed it all up and then he left. And they got Kemba, and Kemba didn't work. Kemba didn't work at point guard. And, they've lost Hayward. They've lost Rozier. They've lost all these really good key players that they had over the years. Like Terry Rozier was great on the Celtics. And now it's basically Tatum, Brown, and Smart. And then a bunch of role players. That's their team. They've got a lot of role players and then these big 2. And now they only have Tatum tonight. And this is the thing. On Monday, when they played Orlando, they only won by 1 point. And Orlando's a scrub team. And that means to me that the Celtics are kind of a scrub team too. That they couldn't blow out a team like Orlando on Monday night. And they had everybody. They had Brown, they had Tatum, they had everybody on their team. So there's no excuses. So this is the thing. Tonight, I hope we kick their ass. I hope it's just like Monday night against Philadelphia, where it's a very transitional game and very scrappy. Now, that's the kind of game that Boston likes to play anyway. So it's going to be a scrap kind of thing. We're not going to go full tilt because it's preseason, but it is really a scrappy versus scrappy, up-tempo versus up-tempo kind of thing. And I think we'll beat them because of the depth of the length once again. That, they've got some big guys like Cantor and Williams and different guys like that, but they're not as quick and they don't have as many. And hopefully there'll be that wall that we saw on Monday night where Doc Rivers was like, their length is just too much and it overwhelms them. And I hope that happens tonight with Boston. But the thing about Boston is the Boston luck of Boston Garden, Fleet Center, or whatever arena they're playing in right now, whatever corporate entity bought the rights to name the place. Oh, yeah, it's TD, right? Isn't it a TD building? It's a Toronto Dominion building. Yeah. But anyway, we're going to have to beat the refs tonight too. And I've said for years and years and years, like for about 5 or 6 years now, the Raptors have to carry a double-digit lead into the fourth quarter and late into the game because what happens is the referees do shady shit on the down low, whether it's a no call for us or it's they're calling a touch foul or a travel on us on the other end. They help guide this is part of why I don't like the NBA is because it's rigged in some ways. And I love the Raptors because we're trying to overcome all of this. And that's what we did in 2019 when we won the championship. We overcame a lot that was underlying, that was pushing against us to get to where we were. Because the NBA marketing team did not want the Raptors to win the championship. So if they had their way, it would be the Celtics and the Lakers every year. If they could book it like wrestling, at wrestling bookers, they would have done that every year. It would be booked like wrestling. So anyway, we've got to beat the Celtics and possibly the referees tonight because it always seems like when we go to Boston, the calls are really bad for us. So let's see what that happens tonight. And it could be even worse because we're a younger team and we don't have Kyle Lowry anymore for respect. And tonight may be a little bit more difficult for the Raptors just because we're going to have to deal with the refs too. definitely tonight. But it's a good thing Jaylen Brown's out. That's going to be a huge loss for Boston. They're going to have a hard time dealing with us without the help of Jaylen Brown. And much like Philadelphia, I think Boston's just gone downhill the last 3 years or so. That they were a lot better a few years ago when they had like 4 or 5 good stars, and now they only have those 2 guys, and then maybe Marcus Smart. You could consider him. But yeah, I'm not scared of Boston this year. I think that we can handle them. They're not as good as they were in the bubble when they beat us in that 7-game series. And, Boston just pisses me off. Like I said, they get a lot of favoritism by the NBA. They get a lot of, if there's 50-50 calls tonight where it could go either way, the referees will go with the Celtics and stuff like that. So look for that tonight, how we do with the refs. Like, really pay attention to the refs and how they call the game. And if near the end of the game, it seems like the Raptors are getting momentum with their offense in some way, if you see the refs call some weird timeout or some sort of weird like thing where they got to check something on the computer or on the TV screen for 5 minutes and just kills our momentum, watch for stuff like that, because those are the really awful, cheesy ways that they cheat and like kind of subvert the game. I know this is like, some people are like, whoa, the game's not fair and stuff like that. No, it's not. In a lot of ways, the NBA is not fair, because refereeing in the NBA is a subjective thing. It's like judging art. You can't really, there's no real definition of what is what and what is what. They can decide that, oh, this is really a foul or this isn't a foul. And they can make up their excuses for however they do it. And if you guys have read anything by Tim Donaghy or the referee scandal and stuff like that, and you knew the true inner seediness of the referees of the NBA, you'd understand, because some of these guys, Scott Foster's not a good person. Like, he's doing some dirty stuff. But anyway, back to the game. I'm hoping that the Raptors win tonight, of course. And we should, because we're the better team overall. Like, if you look at us 1 through 15, we're way better than Boston. And we should show that tonight. And hopefully Nick Nurse will substitute our guys quick and often so that we can out energy and hustle and out scrap Boston easily. Because we worrying about Tatum, worrying about Smart. They've usually got some guy on the bench that does some crazy stuff to us all of a sudden, like Pritchard or something. But we'll see. And the other thing is, they don't really have any big men that are like Embiid that can really like do a lot of damage to us. They got old man Horford and they got Enes Kanter. But Cantor's not really that much of an offensive threat kind of guy. And Horford is really aged, like in the last year or so. Like, he doesn't look anything like what he did in Atlanta in his heyday and stuff like that. So, all right, y'all. Kawhi Leopard, thanks for watching today. All my subscribers and people watching, thank you. Go Raptors. Be a Raptor fan, y'all. Be a Raptor fan first, before anything. Let's get some luck like this guy had in Boston in the 80s, Mr. Magic Johnson, because he did very well in that the Boston building back in the day. So, hopefully we can beat them, and it's just easy. And, we don't have to beat the refs too much, too. Hopefully they don't look like they're helping them too much. But, yeah, I'm excited. Of course, we always want an opportunity and a chance to beat down the Celtics because we hate them. We hate them, yes. The bubble taught us to hate the Celtics more, for sure. All right. Go Raptors. Be proud. Be strong, Raptor Nation. We're going into this new season with a new team. Oh, one more thing. Raptors had a practice yesterday in Northeastern University, and apparently Nick Nurse is saying that it went really well, that they probably looked at the tape from Thursday night against Philadelphia, and they found a lot of spots to improve. And already in the practice on Friday, he saw some huge growth in some probably defensive stuff with some of the younger players. So, all right, that bodes well. All right, guys, let's beat Green tonight, because we don't like Green. We don't like Boston. We never have. We never will. So let's just beat them, all right? Go Raptors. Stay healthy. Nobody get hurt. Everybody's okay. Nobody get COVID. Everything stays good in Raptor world like it has been. All right, let's go.